everybody, and welcome to the House of Jin Shin. And we have a special guest today, Justin McClure, and I'm really happy he's here. I've known Justin for a couple of years now. He is from Pennsylvania. He is a practitioner. He has been studying for many years. And I'm also really happy, we were talking yesterday, and he's going to be teaching the self-help classes and really helping to spread the word about Jin Shin Jitsu. And welcome, Justin.
Thank you, Alexis. I'm really excited to be here, and thank you for inviting me to share. I really love sharing this art, so I'm looking forward to really bringing that to our community here. I just wanted to say hi to everybody that's watching.
Yeah, I think a lot of people know you already because you have been bringing out some videos that I really liked, and
thank you.
yeah. So and that's what we like, to have people like yourself share the art, because as I said before, I can't do it completely on my own. I do as much as I can, and that we really need people like you to share it, so that more people will learn, share it in your community, with friends, with family, with, you probably have friends and you could do like a Zoom meeting with them and share. And so in this way, it will just spread like a contagious smile. Like, smile, 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 smile. Everybody's gonna smile. And in that way, there will be more clients as well, because it's still surprising that a lot of people haven't heard about it and don't know what the art of Jin Shin, aka Jin Shin Jitsu, is. And so I'm really glad. And so this is going to be a really fun practice for you as well today, to get out in front of the audience. And so how are you doing, Justin, in these times?
Yeah, so this is my first Facebook Live. Everything I've done before is pre-recorded. I have to say, with everything going on, I've been just finding myself really up in my head. My focus has really been on staying grounded. Just feeling overwhelmed by the media. Also, even, we spoke yesterday, all this Zooming, phone calls, technology heavy, so, just some of that's a little bit overwhelming. So for me, it's been really great, practicing the self-help, getting out into nature. And today I actually want to talk a little bit about staying grounded, and we're going to work with the earth element and first depth a little bit here today.
So if you are on right now and are people joining in, yes, please send Justin some hearts related to fifth depth, heart energy, and trying to, and that's very much related to earth, right? The relationship between the earth energy and the fire energy.
Yeah, I have found myself lately in a lot of trying to, and a lot of efforting, even, less so in the physical world, but in the mental world of efforting. And, it took a friend to remind me to stay grounded, to hold my thumb, those type of things. So really looking forward to diving into this practice today.
Wonderful. Well, I'm ready, and I think everybody's ready.
All righty. Well, in thinking about what to present, there's so much, the breadth of this art is amazing. And so, I kept hearing the phrase, "We are here to simplify," which is a quote from Mary Burmeister, who brought Jin Shin Jitsu to the United States. So, we honor her legacy and we thank her for that. So I wanted to keep this simple, and I wanted to really work with first depth. Which, when we talk about a depth, again, we're talking about a dimension of our being, an energetic circulation, a depth of our energetic circulation. So I thought today we would go back to the very beginnings of Jin Shin Jitsu and work a little bit with the fingers. And so why don't we start by taking our right hand and holding our left thumb, okay? And I have another little quote here I'd like to share from Jiro Murai, who is the founder of Jin Shin Jitsu. And he told Mary that, and I quote, "In time you will know the non-secret secret of the power that is in the awareness and understanding of the thumbs and fingers. All disharmonies can be harmonized through them." So, again, all disharmonies can be harmonized through our thumbs and our fingers. And for me, holding the fingers, simplifying, let's use the least amount of effort possible and stay out of that trying to attitude. Um,
For
so
new people who are watching, the fingers is a very good place to start because you're helping your entire body.
yeah, yeah. And I wanted to, even for those of us who are a little experienced with holding the thumb, to just think about, when I said hold your thumb, how many of you just went like this and grabbed your thumb? I think one of the key words that Jiro Murai used in that quote is that it is in the awareness and understanding. So, I invite you maybe to bring your hands back apart and with intention, very slowly embrace that thumb with the least amount of effort possible. Maybe not even maybe you don't even need to fully put pressure on that thumb. Maybe you just need to encircle it. You can already feel the energy and the warmth coming into that thumb. Some of us immediately want to just get right in there and harmonize. So that allowing, take some time inhaling and exhaling and really getting to know your thumb. This has been a practice that, with the finger holds, that I've really been taking my time, slowing down. What am I feeling? What am I sensing? So I invite you to play around with that. Take your time in really approaching the thumb. And for even practitioners, we know that we have to take our time when we approach the body. We don't want to just, get right in there. So what am I feeling? And remembering that, our right hand is applying, our right hand is the jumper cable. So it's, holding on here. So what does it feel like to hold the thumb? And then switch your awareness to the other hand. What does it feel like to be held? So right now we have a powerful connection here. And I believe there's another quote by Jiro that says, just by bringing our hands together, we are creating unity of body, mind, and spirit. So there's so much power in this application here.
It's interesting because I started like this, and then as you were talking and my awareness was shifting, I really felt like holding the other one, right hand. So I did
Yeah.
the right hand, and it felt very comfortable.
And I think it's so important to check in with yourself. So if everyone's still holding their thumbs, I always invite people to then, after you're holding the thumb, check in. Has anything shifted in your awareness? Or like you said, maybe your other thumb needs to be held. Maybe holding the pressure is too tight and you realize that you need to loosen up a little bit. Relax the fingers. Sometimes I'll even remove my hand and, shake it out and bring it back in, just to reset. Sometimes I want to come back in with a new understanding, a new awareness to that thumb and see, has anything shifted? Has anything changed? So again, holding our thumb, we're helping our first depth, which I know we mentioned, and, related to the earth element, our skin surface. It helps us to stay grounded. Very, very big relationship to our immunity, our self-protection. Think of our skin surface, our first depth, as being that first barrier to anything outside of us. So I think right now keeping first depth clear is super important.
Does it help emotional attitudes? Can you
Yes.
talk about that?
Yeah, so we talk about the thumb helping the emotional attitude of worry. So, in this state of worry, when we're preoccupied, when our mind's, not in the present moment, when it's drifting to the future or the past. And I think that, again, bringing your awareness right to this present moment of holding your thumb is the key here. We want to be with ourselves, learning to be with ourselves, support ourselves. So I thought we would go through a little sequence here, if we can move on. So this whole sequence is to support our first depth. So we start by holding the thumb, and then we're going to very gently and with awareness release the thumb. And then just sit for a moment and feel any sort of difference. Just kind of see where you are. And then bring your awareness to the middle finger. We're now going to hold our middle finger. And again, approach it with that same sort of reverence. We're coming in. I like to hold my middle finger like this, but whatever way is comfortable for you. And again, taking your time and getting to know your middle finger. So middle finger brings us to third depth.
Is there
Which
anything about, I sometimes talk about breathing. How do you experience it in your practice?
breathing is so fundamental to everything we do in this art. So, the breath is, first of all, I think our prime movement is getting everything moving with the breath. we want to be exhaling and inhaling while we're holding our fingers. Again, that's another part of the awareness. Sometimes when we're holding our finger, we may not be noticing a shift. We may not even be feeling any sort of pulse or energy moving. And sometimes all it takes is an exhale or an inhale to really jumpstart the system and get energy moving. So yeah, very important. Thanks for that reminder, Alexis. So we're holding our middle finger right now. Again, so we've moved on from the thumb, and we want to make sure that our third depth is clear with the middle finger so that, first depth can support it. If third depth is not clear, we can burden first depth. So there's a relationship here in keeping third depth open so that, the earth element first depth can be moving and circulating.
Can you explain a little bit more about the relationship? You said burden for new people. There's a lot of new people.
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean? And how are they related?
Yeah, so, when we think of how energy cycles through our system and the relationship between those, we look at how third depth and first depth, that relationship, first depth energizes our third depth. So it gives energy to third depth. So if third depth is not able to receive that energy, first depth can overload and cause problems. So it can cause problems. It can be something like it can create worry or impact our skin surface or our stomach or our spleen, which again are all associations with first depth.
So there's a relationship because they're all in a circle, right?
Yep, our lumbar circle. One of my favorite things. So again, holding the middle finger is great for the attitude of anger, which we talk about with our third depth. So I think, some of us may be angry right now that we can't be out at our jobs or supporting ourselves financially. There can be this underlying anger. So releasing that is so important right now. So yeah, third depth, one of my favorites. I love holding the middle finger. Has so many more relationships. But why don't we move on to the last step of the finger sequence? So we've held the thumb for first depth. We've held the middle finger for third depth. Now we're going to release that middle finger very gently and come to our little finger. Anybody remember what this one is for? So here is our fifth depth, one of my attitudes that I work with a lot. So holding the little finger, again, coming into it with awareness and intention. Don't just jump right on that. Here is where we really see how much we're efforting in this little finger. So helping, the fire element. And we already talked earlier, Alexis, that, fire in our relationships on that lumbar circle, fire is another one that can, overwhelm earth or, burden earth. So holding the little finger is, again, helping first depth in this sense. And again, fifth depth is that efforting or try to attitude. Mm-hmm. So while holding that little finger right now, I invite you to, exhale and inhale a few times.
Also helps the heart energy, which is at this time so important to keep our hearts open, spiritually and physically, keep our hearts healthy. It's also interesting to me that you said that you have some fifth depth going on. And so by harmonizing the other fingers before you go to the little finger, that may be very helpful then.
Yep, exactly. And because there's a dynamic relationship between first and third depth to fifth depth, which again, for practitioners who are familiar with the lumbar circle, they probably know more about that relationship. But it really is important in working with all the depths and learning how they support and burden and help each other. So the sequence that we did today, again, working with thumb, middle, and then little, is a sequence that we use specifically to help first depth. So I invite you to, really work with that and practice that. And I'd like to share one more thing about this that I had in practicing this intensely for the past few days. And this is more for the seasoned practitioners, is I saw this relationship of first depth with our surface, our surface energy with the chest line relationship, our third depth in relationship to the waistline, middle energy, and the little finger fifth depth in relationship to our hip line, deep energy. So also with this hold, we're helping chest, we're helping waist, and we're helping hip line. So I think it's a very dynamic little sequence that I've sort of fallen in love with over the past few days. So I invite people to really practice this on both sides. We may not have enough time to do both today.
Yeah, so people can do it later. And I really want to say how impressed I am that you keep studying and keep exploring the art, because yes, we can just do all the basic things, but for students like yourself and like me, we just keep looking at the different relationships and keep studying, and then there's worlds within worlds, and it's so wonderful to keep growing with it.
Yes, and to have fun with it as well. You know, to see those relationships and have those aha moments is really exciting.
Yeah. So I urge you really, and I hope that everybody on Facebook will urge you to go out and teach, because you are a wonderful teacher and you have,
well, thank you.
you have a lot to share. So
Well,
I
thank
really
you.
encourage you, and we are here at Jin Shin Institute, Lola and myself, we are right behind you to support you.
Well, thank you. And just reminding everyone that, you know, Jiro Murai started with his fingers, working with himself. So this art is really a study of the self, of knowing yourself, which I am still learning about myself. I know you're still learning about yourself. So I think being patient with ourselves and compassionate with ourselves is so important to this art. So thank you again for allowing me to share today.
Wonderful.
And I hope you guys stay well.
Justin, thank you so much for being a guest at the House of Jin Shin.
Thank you.
We will be in touch.
Yep. Talk to you later.
Okay, bye-bye.